Okay, so let's get right into it. You might have heard the headlines about a pretty daring rescue mission, the US pulling one of its pilots out from deep inside Iran. I mean, that's a huge deal, right? But when you start to peel back the layers of that story, you realize there's something else going on. Something much, much more interesting.
The official line is simple. A pilot was down, and they had to get him out. Mission accomplished. But was that really the whole story? Honestly, the clues left behind suggest this was anything but a straightforward rescue. So the big question we're going to tackle is, what really went down in Iran?
You know, for a typical pilot rescue, you'd think they'd use fast, agile aircraft. But not here. Nope. They used two massive C-130 Hercules transport planes. And here's the kicker. After the mission was over, these multi-million-dollar planes were found completely destroyed, and not by the enemy. It looks like they were destroyed from the inside. Something just doesn't add up.
And this is where it gets really wild. The landing spot. These huge C-130s didn't just land in some random spot. They touched down at a totally abandoned airbase in Isfahan, which just so happens to be right on the doorstep of Iran's secret underground nuclear sites. Coincidence? I don't think so. So, let's just lay it all out. We've got the wrong kind of planes, in a very suspicious place, destroyed in a super strange way. The official story of a simple pilot rescue? It's full of holes.
Now, we know the CIA was involved. They were running diversions, making a lot of noise to pull the Iranian Revolutionary Guard's attention away from what was really happening. But they weren't the only other players in this game. There was another, very specialized partner operating in the shadows.
An ally with let's say, a very particular set of skills. An ally whose presence might just be the key to unlocking this whole mystery.
And there it is. That shadow ally was Israel. Specifically, we're talking about operators from two of its most elite, most secretive Special Forces units, Sayeret Matkal and the Shaldog unit. And once you know they were there, the focus of this whole operation changes. It's no longer just about what happened, it's about who made it happen.
So let's dive into Sayeret Matkal first. Because once you understand who these guys are, those giant C-130s start to make a whole lot more sense.
So what is Sayeret Matkal? Basically, they're Israel's version of the British SAS, or America's Delta Force. Their bread and butter is going deep, I mean deep, behind enemy lines to gather intelligence and pull off covert ops. You know, the kind of mission that might just require some heavy equipment near a nuclear facility.
And this isn't some new unit. They are legendary. Formed way back in 1957, modeled after the SAS, and they were so secret that the Israeli government didn't even admit they existed for decades.
Their skill set is just wow. It covers everything from counterterrorism and hostage rescue to completely deniable black ops. But the one we're interested in is deep reconnaissance, sneaking into enemy territory to gather intel. That sounds an awful lot like what might have been happening in Iran, doesn't it?
Becoming one of these operators is, well, it's next to impossible. Candidates go through a brutal 2-year selection process that is designed to break them physically and mentally. Only the absolute toughest, most skilled recruits ever make it through.
And to give you an idea of what tough means, their final test is a 150-kilometer trek through the desert. It's the final gut check, designed to weed out anyone who isn't 110% committed. And get this just shows you the level of prestige we're talking about. Ehud Barak, the guy who later became the Prime Minister of Israel, was a member of Sayeret Matkal. That's the caliber of person we are dealing with here.
But remember, Sayeret Matkal wasn't alone out there. They had backup from another elite unit, this time from a different branch of the military, the Shaldog unit. These are the commandos of the Israeli Air Force.
Shaldak, which actually means kingfisher, is the bridge between air power and boots on the ground. Their specialty is sneaking into hostile territory to paint targets for airstrikes, conduct reconnaissance, and launch fast, hard-hitting commando raids.
They've got a pretty broad to-do list, from covert intel gathering to combat search and rescue, which, by the way, fits that official pilot rescue story perfectly. And this is not some historical unit. They are on the ground, right now, in active conflicts in places like Lebanon and Gaza.
So, okay, we've got these two powerhouse units on the ground in Iran. But the real question is, why them? Why were they the ones needed for this job?
And really, it all comes down to one thing: home turf advantage on a massive scale. Nobody, and I mean nobody, understands the operational environment in the Middle East like these units do.
They have decades of experience operating in this region against these specific enemies. They bring a level of street smarts and intel that's just unmatched, even by their American counterparts.
This quote really captures their mindset. We will support the U.S. ground attack. It shows this incredible commitment, not just to working together, but to taking the fight directly to the enemy, on their own turf, whether it's in a big war or a secret mission in Iran.
So this brings us back to that dusty airfield. That whole operation, whether it was for a pilot or for something much bigger, really shines a light on the incredible impact these small elite units can have. And it leaves us with one final big question. In our age of drones and cyber warfare, can a handful of the right soldiers in the right place at the right time still change the course of history?